The October wind cut through Chicago like broken glass. Donovan Pierce's $1,000 shoes crunched against frost-covered gravel as he walked the familiar path through Oak Hill Cemetery. White daisies clutched in his leather-gloved hand. 2 years, 730 days since Hazel's laugh had filled his world, since those tiny hands had gripped his fingers, since everything that mattered had been ripped away in twisted metal and shattered glass. He rounded the marble angel marking the Morrison family plot, and his breath caught. Someone was kneeling at Hazel's grave, a child, thin shoulders shaking beneath a jacket 3 sizes too large. Holes worn through the knees of jeans that had seen too many winters. The boy's hands, dirt-crusted, fingernails ragged, pressed something against the granite headstone. Donovan's throat tightened. His feet moved without permission. "Hazel, I'm sorry I didn't come yesterday," the boy whispered, voice breaking. "Uncle Jack drank the rent money again and I couldn't leave the house. He gets mean when he's like that." The child's breath misted in the cold air. "But I brought you new drawings, see? This one's the galaxy you always wanted to visit." Donovan stopped 3 feet away, his heart hammered against his ribs. The boy pressed his forehead against the stone. "I miss you so much. You promised we'd be brothers. You promised. Who are you?" The boy spun, eyes wide with terror. Brown eyes, deep-set and ancient in a 7-year-old face. He scrambled backward, drawings scattering across dead grass. "I wasn't doing nothing wrong, mister, I swear. I visit her. I always visit her." Donovan's jaw clenched. "You knew my daughter." The boy's chin trembled. "She was my best friend." The words hit like a physical blow. Donovan's vision blurred. "That's impossible. I would have known. She would have told me. She wanted to." The boy's voice dropped to a whisper. "She was scared you'd say no." "Say no to what?" The boy reached into his jacket with shaking hands and pulled out a photograph, bent and worn from constant handling. He extended it like an offering. Donovan took it. His knees nearly buckled. His Hazel, grinning that gap-toothed smile. Her arm around this same thin boy. Summer sunshine, pigeons in the background, Millennium Park fountain catching rainbow light. And on the back, in Hazel's careful purple crayon, "Daddy, this is my brother. I love him. Someday I'll tell you." Hazel, the daisies fell from Donovan's hand. "Where did you get this?" His voice came out strangled. "Hazel gave it to me 2 weeks before." The boy's face crumpled. "Before she left." Donovan sank onto the stone bench beside the grave, photograph clutched so tightly the edges cut his palm. "What's your name?" "Theo." "Theo Morrison." "Theo." Donovan stared at the grave, at the boy, at the impossible photograph. "Tell me how you knew her." Theo sat cross-legged on the frozen ground, picking at a hole in his sneaker. "We met at the park. I was collecting cans for the recycling place. I get 5 cents each. And Hazel came running over. Her nanny was on the phone, not paying attention." His voice softened. "Remembering, Hazel gave me half her sandwich, said nobody should be hungry, asked if I wanted to play." "When was this?" "Last year, spring, I think, April maybe. The flowers were all blooming." Theo's eyes filled. "We played every Tuesday and Thursday when her nanny brought her. Hazel told everyone I was her brother. She said she was gonna make you adopt me, so it'd be real." Donovan's chest constricted. "Why didn't she tell me?" "She was waiting for the right time. She said you were sad because her mom left and she didn't want to make you sadder, but she had a plan. She wrote it all down in her diary. She was gonna show you on her birthday." Hazel had died 3 weeks before her 6th birthday. "Where's your mother, Theo?" The boy's expression shuttered. "Don't know. She disappeared same week Hazel—" He couldn't finish. "And your father? Never met him. Who takes care of you?" Theo pulled his knees to his chest. "Uncle Jack, my mom's brother, he's okay when he doesn't drink." The way Theo said it, rehearsed, defensive, told Donovan everything. He'd heard that tone in depositions, in custody hearings, in the voices of children protecting the adults who hurt them. "Do you come here often?" "Every day." Theo met his eyes. "She's the only person who ever loved me." The raw honesty shattered something in Donovan's carefully constructed armor. He studied the boy. Too thin, bruises yellowing on his wrists, that hollow look of chronic hunger, wearing Hazel's love like a shield against a world that had failed him. I should go. Theo stood quickly, gathering his scattered drawings. Sorry for bothering you, mister. I'll come back later. Wait, Donovan rose. Theo, What could he possibly say? I'd like to talk more about Hazel, about how you knew her. Suspicion flickered across Theo's face. Why? Because she wanted me to know you, and I failed her. Donovan's voice broke. I failed her in so many ways. Let me try to do this one thing right. Theo hesitated, then nodded slowly. Tomorrow, Donovan asked. Same time. Okay. Donovan watched the boy trudge away. That too large jacket swallowing his frame, shoes held together with duct tape, heading toward the south side. Toward neighborhoods where Donovan's security team advised against traveling, he looked down at the photograph in his hand. Hazel's handwriting, her careful loops and determined pressure. This is my brother. His phone buzzed. Elena. He ignored it. Another buzz. Board meeting in 20 minutes. He didn't care. Donovan knelt beside Hazel's grave, placed the daisies against the cold stone, and pressed his palm to her name. What were you trying to tell me, baby girl? The wind offered no answers, but in his hand, the photograph felt warm, alive, like a promise waiting to be kept. Across the city, in a glass tower office, Adrian Chen stared at a security report on his monitor. His jaw tightened as he read the name, Theo Morrison. The boy's mother had been a problem Adrian had solved 2 years ago, and now Donovan Pierce, brilliant, relentless Donovan, was asking questions. Adrian reached for his phone. Simone, I need you to handle something discreetly. Outside his window, storm clouds gathered over Lake Michigan. Mitchell Hayes sat across from Donovan in the walnut-paneled study, a folder thick with printouts between them. The investigator's weathered face showed the fatigue of 48 hours without sleep. Steam rose from his untouched coffee, dissolving into the morning light streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Ruth Morrison, Mitchell began, sliding a photograph across the desk. Born 1989 in Gary, Indiana, single mother, no family except her brother Jackson and son Theodore. He paused. She worked at Pierce Technologies. Donovan's head snapped up. What? Administrative assistant, but not in your division. She reported directly to Adrian Chen. The name landed like a stone in still water. Donovan leaned back, fingers steepled against his lips. Keep going. Hired in 2021, clean record, glowing performance reviews. Then Mitchell tapped another document. Bank statements, March 2023. 3 deposits totaling $47,000 from an offshore account. Transaction codes match shell companies linked to Chen's private holdings. Payoffs, or coercion. The deposit stopped in August. 2 weeks later, she filed a formal complaint with HR about irregularities in Chen's departmental accounting. The complaint was never processed. Mitchell's voice hardened. She withdrew it 24 hours after filing, and on September 18, 2023, the day Hazel died, Ruth Morrison disappeared. Last confirmed sighting was security footage at O'Hare International, Gate 42, flight to Mexico City. She never boarded. Donovan stood, walking to the window. Below, the magnificent mile stretched toward the lake. Cars threading between glass towers like blood cells through veins. The accident was investigated. The nanny's brakes failed. Ruth Morrison was the nanny that day. Your ex-wife was out of town. Ruth volunteered to pick Hazel up from kindergarten. The room tilted. Donovan gripped the window frame. You're saying... I'm saying Ruth Morrison was in the car when it crashed. She survived initially. Died 3 hours later at Northwestern Memorial. Listed cause of death, internal bleeding from blunt force trauma. Mitchell pulled out another photo. Ruth Morrison in a hospital bed. Tubes and wires covering her body. She never regained consciousness, couldn't tell anyone what really happened. Donovan's reflection stared back at him from the glass, ghost pale. Hazel knew this woman. Theo said Ruth let them play together. More than that, Mitchell opened his tablet, pulling up social media archives. Ruth's Instagram, private account, but I got access. Look at the dates. Photographs loaded. Theo and Hazel at Millennium Park. Theo and Hazel feeding ducks. Theo and Hazel building sandcastles at Oak Street Beach. Dozens of images carefully hidden from public view. The last photo was dated September 12, 2023, 6 days before the crash. Hazel holding a sign she'd made from cardboard and markers. Theo is my brother Donovan's vision blurred. I'm having the brake failure re-examined, Mitchell said quietly. Original investigation was rushed. Inconclusive findings rubber-stamped as equipment failure. I've got a forensic specialist who owes me a favor. Do it! Donovan's voice was granite. And Mitchell, dig into everything Ruth touched at the company, every email, every transaction, every meeting with Adrian Chen. I want to know what she knew. You think Chen's involved. I think my 5-year-old daughter kept secrets because she was afraid to tell me. I think a woman who loved her enough to die beside her disappeared the same day. And I think Adrian Chen profits when inconvenient people vanish. Donovan turned from the window. So, yes, I think he's involved. Mitchell nodded. Gathering his files at the door, he paused. What are you going to do about the boy? Donovan looked at Hazel's photograph on his desk. Her official school photo, the one he kept in a silver frame. Honor her wish, starting today. The Millennium Park fountain drew crowds despite the autumn chill. Children shrieked as water jets created crystal arcs against azure sky. Donovan found Theo sitting on the fountain's edge, feet dangling, watching families with an expression that aged his face beyond 7 years. Hey! Donovan sat beside him, maintaining careful distance. Theo, startled, You came. I said I would. Donovan pulled a paper bag from his coat. Hungry. Suspicion warred with hunger in Theo's eyes. Hunger won. He took the bag, removing a sandwich, turkey and avocado on whole grain, the way Hazel had loved. Theo ate like someone expecting the food to disappear. Quick bites with his body curved protectively around the meal. When did you last eat? Donovan asked carefully. Theo shrugged, mouth full. Uncle Jack brought pizza yesterday, I think. You think. He ate most of it. Said I needed to learn not to be greedy. Theo took another bite, then paused. This is really good. Hazel's favorite. Theo's face brightened. I remember. She always gave me half, even when I said she didn't have to. He touched the fountain's stone edge. This is where she found me, right here. I was digging through the trash for cans, and she just walked up like we'd known each other forever, asked my name, asked if I wanted to play tag. What did you say? I said I didn't know how to play. Never had anyone to play with. Theo's voice dropped. She looked at me like I'd said the saddest thing ever. Then she took my hand and said, Well, now you do. I'm Hazel. I'm going to be your sister. Donovan's chest tightened. Just like that. Just like that, she decided, and when Hazel decided something, Theo smiled, really smiled, and for a moment he looked his actual age. Nobody could tell her different. They sat in silence, watching water dance. A little girl in a yellow dress ran past, her father chasing her, both laughing. Theo's expression shuttered again. Mr. Pierce, can I ask you something? Donovan, call me Donovan. Donovan. Theo tested the name. Why do you want to know about me? Is it just 'cause of Hazel? Donovan considered lying, offering comfortable platitudes. But Hazel had chosen this boy. She'd seen something worth loving. The least Donovan could do was offer truth. Partly, but also, he searched for words. My daughter saw something in you, something special, and I trust her judgment more than my own. She told me you were the smartest man in the world. She was biased. She said you built computers that could think, that you helped sick people walk again, that you were going to change everything. Theo kicked his feet against the fountain. She was really proud of you. Donovan's throat closed. I wasn't there enough. I worked too much, missed too many bedtimes and school plays, and... He stopped. I thought I'd have more time. She knew you loved her. Theo's certainty was absolute. She told me every day, my daddy loves me bigger than the sky. That's what she said. The tears came before Donovan could stop them. He turned away, but Theo's small hand found his. It's okay to cry, Hazel said. Crying means you're brave enough to feel things. Donovan gripped that small hand, so fragile, bones like a bird's, and let himself break in the autumn sunshine. That evening, in the glass tower, Adrian Chen watched surveillance footage of Donovan Pierce crying beside a child at a public fountain. His assistant, Simone Keller, stood behind him, tablet in hand. "Who is this kid?" Adrian asked. "Theodore Morrison, Ruth Morrison's son." Adrian's expression remained neutral, but his fingers tightened on the desk edge. "And Pierce is meeting with him, why?" "Unknown. But they've been together twice now. Once at the cemetery, once today. Our people say Pierce had the kid investigated." "By whom?" "Mitchell Hayes." "Fuck." Adrian stood, pacing to the window. 43 stories below, the city glittered in twilight. "Mitchell's a bloodhound. If he starts digging into Ruth—" "He already has." Simone pulled up financial records on her tablet. "He's requested archived files from HR, personnel records, accounting audits from 2023. Adrian's mind raced. Ruth Morrison had been a mistake, a secretary who'd stumbled onto transactions she shouldn't have seen, who'd threatened to blow everything open, who'd needed to be silenced before she destroyed decades of carefully constructed fraud. The car accident had been clean, professional, untraceable, except now Donovan Pierce, brilliant, obsessive, relentless Donovan, was holding hands with Ruth Morrison's orphaned son. "What do you want me to do?" Simone asked. Adrian turned from the window, face a careful mask. "Find everything on the kid. Medical records, school files, any history of behavioral problems. Find the uncle, see if he's cooperative." "Cooperative meaning everyone has a price. Find his." Simone's lips pursed. "Adrian, if we move against Pierce, we're not moving against Pierce. We're protecting a vulnerable child from a man who may not be emotionally stable. The papers love that narrative. Billionaire CEO obsessed with random kid after losing his daughter." Adrian smiled coldly. "That's not charity, that's pathology." Simone nodded slowly. "I'll make calls." After she left, Adrian stood in the darkness of his office. The city spread below like a circuit board. Ruth Morrison's face flickered in his memory. Terrified, begging, understanding too late what she'd uncovered. Collateral damage was unfortunate but necessary. If Donovan Pierce became a problem, he'd learn the same lesson. Donovan walked Theo home as dusk settled over Inglewood. The neighborhood transformed block by block, gleaming downtown towers, giving way to crumbling brownstones, boarded windows, men clustered on corners with hollow eyes. Theo's apartment was a third-floor walk-up with graffiti-covered walls and a front door that didn't quite close. Inside, the smell hit first. Stale beer, rotting food, something fouler underneath. A man sprawled on a stained couch, empty bottles scattered around him like fallen soldiers. Mid-40s, unshaven. Yellowed eyes tracking their entrance with animal awareness. "'Bout time, you little shit," Jack Morrison slurred. "Where you been?" "Don't care." Jack's gaze slid to Donovan. "Who the fuck are you?" "A friend." "Theo don't have friends." Jack struggled upright. "You paying him for something? 'Cause if you are, I'm his guardian. Money goes through me." Donovan's expression didn't change, but his voice dropped to a register that had made CFOs weep. "How much does the state give you monthly for Theo's care?" "That's none of your—" $843. Food assistance, Medicaid coverage, and yet the boy's wearing shoes held together with tape, hasn't seen a doctor in 2 years, and doesn't know when he last ate a full meal. Donovan smiled without warmth. "Where's the money going, Jack?" Jack's face purpled. "Get out of my house." "Gladly." Donovan turned to Theo, crouched to eye level. "Tomorrow, same fountain. Bring anything you want to keep." "Hey!" Jack lunged forward. Tripped over bottles, crashed against the coffee table. "You can't just—" "He's mine, my blood." Donovan straightened. "Theo's not property, and if I find one more bruise on him, I'll bury you so deep you'll need a map to find sunlight." He left Jack sputtering threats. Descended the stairwell, stepped into the October night, pulled out his phone. "Elena, I need family law attorneys, the best, and I need them yesterday." His sister's voice came back sharp with concern. "Donovan, what are you doing?" "Something Hazel asked me to do 2 years ago. I'm bringing her brother home." The Michigan Avenue boutique smelled of expensive cotton and cedar. Theo stood frozen in the entrance, hands shoved deep in his torn pockets, staring at mannequins wearing clothes that cost more than Jack's monthly disability check. A saleswoman approached with practiced smile that faltered when she registered the boy's appearance. "I'm sorry, but if you're looking for donations, the Salvation Army is—" "He's with me!" Donovan's voice cut through her polite dismissal. He placed a hand on Theo's shoulder. "We need everything. School clothes, casual wear, winter coat, shoes, quality items, nothing that'll fall apart in a month." The saleswoman's expression transformed, dollar signs replacing distaste. "Of course, Mr. Pierce." Her eyes widened. "Mr. Pierce, of course, right this way." For the next hour, Theo stood on fitting platforms while strangers measured his inseam, his shoulders, his waist. Donovan watched the boy's face cycle through confusion. Embarrassment, wonder. When they finally left, Theo carried 3 shopping bags filled with jeans that fit, shirts without holes, a navy peacoat that made him look like any other Chicago kid preparing for winter. "I can't pay you back," Theo said quietly as they walked toward Donovan's car. "I'm not asking you to, but that's a lot of money." "Theo?" Donovan stopped, crouched on the sidewalk. "When someone gives you a gift, the right response is thank you, not apologies." Theo's chin trembled. "Thank you. You're welcome." Donovan stood. "Now, are you hungry? Real question. When did you last have a real meal? Define real. Protein. Vegetables. Something that didn't come from a vending machine." Theo thought hard. "Tuesday, no, Monday, Mrs. Chen at the corner store gave me day-old dumplings. She's nice, doesn't charge when I can't pay." Donovan's jaw tightened. "Come on, I know a place." The diner was a hole in the wall on Randolph, the kind of place where cab drivers ate at 3 a.m., and nobody questioned when a billionaire walked in with a street kid. They slid into a red vinyl booth, and Theo stared at the menu like it was written in Sanskrit. "I don't know what half these words mean," he admitted. "What do you like?" "I like not being hungry." Something in Donovan's chest cracked. "How about burgers, fries, milkshake?" Theo's eyes went wide. All that, when the food arrived, Donovan watched Theo eat with the same desperate efficiency as before. Hunched, protective, mechanical. Halfway through his burger, the boy stopped. "I should save some for later in case—" "In case what?" Theo's voice dropped. "In case tomorrow there's nothing." "Theo, look at me." Donovan waited until the boy met his eyes. "Oh, you don't have to save anything. You don't have to ration. You don't have to go hungry. Not anymore. You can't promise that." "I can. And I am." Theo searched his face for lies and found none. He picked up the burger again, this time taking smaller bites, tasting instead of just consuming. "Hazel loved these milkshakes," he said suddenly. "Chocolate with extra whipped cream. She'd always get a mustache and laugh until her nanny wiped her face." His smile faded. "I miss her laugh. I miss everything. Tell me more about her, about the Hazel I didn't see. She was funny, like really funny. She'd make up songs about pigeons and sing them at the park until everyone was laughing. And she was brave. Once these big kids were picking on a smaller kid, and Hazel marched right up and told them to stop. They were like 12, and she was tiny, but she didn't care." Theo dragged a fry through ketchup. "She wasn't scared of anything, except losing you." The words came before Donovan could stop them. Theo looked up sharply. "What?" "In her diary. Mitchell found it when we went through her things. She wrote about you, Theo, pages and pages, about how you were her brother, and she was going to make me understand, how she was scared I'd say no, but she had a plan." Donovan pulled out his phone, opened a scanned image. "Look." Theo stared at Hazel's handwriting, big careful letters marching across lined paper. "Daddy thinks I don't notice him being sad, but I do. I notice everything. He needs someone to love besides me. He needs Theo. Theo needs a family. We need each other. I just have to make Daddy see. Operation Brother starts tomorrow." Tears streaked down Theo's cheeks. "She wrote that 2 weeks before she died. She had a whole plan, Theo. She was going to introduce you properly at her birthday party, invite you to the house, show me all your drawings, prove that you belonged. Donovan's voice roughened. She never got the chance. But I'm getting it now, and I'm not going to waste it. What does that mean? It means I talked to lawyers today about custody, about getting you away from Jack. Donovan leaned forward. I can't promise it'll be fast. The system moves slow, but I can promise I'm going to try if you want me to. Theo's hands shook around his milkshake glass. You'd really want me, even though I'm nobody. You're not nobody. You're the kid Hazel loved enough to call brother. That makes you somebody very important. The boy dissolved into tears, and Donovan moved to his side of the booth, letting Theo cry against his shoulder in the fluorescent light of a Chicago diner, while truckers and taxi drivers politely looked away. Elena Pierce's law office occupied the 32nd floor of the Aeon Center, all glass and chrome and quiet power. She listened to Donovan's explanation without interruption, fingers steepled, her sharp intelligence processing every detail. This is a nightmare legally, she said finally. I know. Jack Morrison is blood family, courts favor biological relatives. You're a stranger with money, which makes judges suspicious of your motives. She pulled up files on her computer. Plus there's the optics. Billionaire CEO suddenly interested in a poor child after losing his daughter. The media will crucify you. They'll say you're trying to replace Hazel, that you're emotionally unstable, that the boy is a gold digger or being manipulated or... I don't care what they say. You should, because everything they say will impact the custody hearing. Character matters, Donovan. Perception matters. Eleanor's expression softened. I'm not saying don't do this. I'm saying be prepared for war. Then prepare me. She nodded slowly. We'll need documentation, evidence of Jack's neglect, medical records showing Theo's malnourishment, school reports, neighbors willing to testify, and we'll need to establish your relationship with Hazel. Prove this isn't some impulsive decision. Elena paused. How's Theo handling all this? Scared? Hopeful, doesn't trust it's real. Smart kid. Elena pulled up her calendar. I'll start filing paperwork tomorrow. But Donovan, this could take months, years, and there's no guarantee we'll win. I have to try. I know. She smiled. Hazel would be proud. That evening, Donovan enrolled Theo at Lincoln Park Academy, a private school known for nurturing students regardless of background. The administrator, Mrs. Reeves, asked careful questions about Theo's previous education. He's behind, Donovan admitted. His old school was overcrowded, underfunded. He missed a lot of days because of home situations. We're equipped to help him catch up. Mrs. Reeves smiled at Theo, who'd been silent throughout the meeting. Theodore, do you like reading? Theo shrugged. Never really learned good. Well, Donovan corrected gently. Well, Theo repeated. Then understanding lit his face. You're teaching me. We'll all teach you. Mrs. Reeves handed him a welcome packet. You start Monday. We'll take good care of you. Outside, as they walked to the car, Theo stopped on the sidewalk. What if I'm too dumb? What if I can't keep up? You're not dumb. You've been surviving circumstances that would break most adults. That takes intelligence, real intelligence. Donovan opened the car door. And you won't be alone. I'll help. Elena will help. Your teachers will help. We'll figure it out together. Together. Theo tested the word like he'd tested Donovan's name. Something foreign becoming familiar. I like that. Across town, in a South Side bar where questions weren't asked, Jack Morrison stared at the $500 bills spread across the scarred table, the woman across from him. Expensive suit. Colder eyes. Slid an NDA across. Simple arrangement, Mr. Morrison. You sign a complaint with Child Protective Services. Allegations of inappropriate contact between your nephew and Donovan Pierce. Suggestive behavior, lavish gifts, isolation from family. He's not doing nothing inappropriate. He's just helping the kid. Are you certain? Has he been alone with Theodore, given him expensive items, made promises? She leaned forward. These patterns concern experts, Mr. Morrison. Red flags for grooming behavior. Jack's alcohol-soaked brain struggled with the implications. I don't know. You love your nephew. You want to protect him, that's admirable. Her smile was winter. This complaint ensures Theodore stays safe, with family where he belongs, and you receive compensation for your time and concern. Jack looked at the money. Enough for a month of drinking, maybe 2. Theo would understand. Kid was fine, better than fine, getting fancy clothes and meals. What did it matter if Jack signed some papers? He picked up the pen. Excellent choice, the woman said, and her smile showed too many teeth. The Chicago Tribune landed on Donovan's desk with a slap. Elena stood in his office doorway, face tight with controlled fury. Page 3, she said, below the fold. Donovan flipped pages, found the headline, The World Tilted, Billionaire's Bizarre Obsession, Pierce Tech CEO's Concerning Attachment to Mystery Child. The article was poison-dressed as concern. It described his meetings with Theo as secretive encounters, the clothes he'd bought as inappropriate lavish gifts, his desire to help as possibly transferring unresolved grief onto a vulnerable target. Anonymous child psychology experts questioned his mental state. Jack Morrison, described as a concerned guardian, expressed deep worry about Theo being manipulated by a powerful man with unclear motives. The photograph accompanying the story showed Donovan crouched beside Theo at the fountain, hand on the boy's shoulder. The angle, the lighting, the caption, all designed to look sinister. This is Adrian. Donovan's voice was granite. Has to be. Can you prove it? Not yet. He pulled out his phone. Dialed Mitchell. I need you to trace the reporter's sources. Find who fed them this story. Already on it, Mitchell replied. But Donovan, there's more. CPS called. They're opening an investigation. You've been issued a temporary restraining order. You can't contact Theo until the investigation concludes. The phone nearly cracked in Donovan's grip. How temporary? Could be weeks. Could be months. They're interviewing Theo this afternoon, reviewing home studies on both you and Morrison. Mitchell paused. I'm sorry. This is a professional hatchet job. Donovan hung up, stared at Elena. I can't see him. Not without violating the order, which would make everything worse. She moved to his desk, picked up the paper, crumpled it. We fight this properly, through channels. We document everything, prove the allegations are baseless. While Theo thinks I abandoned him. Donovan stood abruptly, paced to the window, 43 stories below. The city moved with indifferent rhythm. He'll think I'm just another adult who let him down. He's tougher than you think. He's 7. He's already survived more trauma than most people experience in a lifetime. And now this. Donovan pressed his forehead against the cold glass. Hazel asked me to take care of him, and I'm failing. Elena joined him at the window. You're not failing. You're fighting. There's a difference. Is there? Because from here it looks the same. The CPS interview room was institutional beige, furnished with children's drawings that couldn't mask the underlying bleakness. Theo sat in a chair too big for him, swinging his legs, while 2 social workers, Mrs. Patterson and Mr. Okoye, arranged papers on a table. Theodore, we just want to ask some questions, Mrs. Patterson began, her smile professional and empty. About your relationship with Mr. Pierce. You're not in any trouble. We're here to make sure you're safe. I am safe. He's nice to me. I'm sure he seems nice, but sometimes adults who seem nice want things that aren't appropriate. She pulled out the photo from the Tribune. Has Mr. Pierce ever touched you in ways that made you uncomfortable? Theo's brow furrowed. He hugged me when I was crying, that's it. What about gifts? Has he given you expensive things? Clothes, food. He took me shopping because my old clothes had holes. And did he ask you to keep secrets, not tell anyone about these gifts? No. He told me to bring whatever I wanted to keep. He was going to help me leave Uncle Jack's. Confusion bled into Theo's voice. Why are you asking this stuff? Mr. Okoye leaned forward. Theo, you know Mr. Pierce's daughter passed away. Do you think maybe he's confused? Seeing you as a replacement for Hazel. That's stupid. Theo's hands clenched. I'm not replacing anyone. Hazel wanted him to know me. She wrote it down. She had a plan and she died before she could. His voice broke. Why is everyone trying to ruin this? We're not trying to ruin anything, sweetheart. We're protecting you. From what? From someone who actually cares. Tears streaked Theo's face. Uncle Jack doesn't feed me. Doesn't care if I go to school, spends the money that's supposed to be for me on beer, but nobody investigates him. Miss Patterson and Mr. Okoye exchanged glances. Has your uncle hurt you, Theodore? Theo went quiet. Survival instinct warring with truth. Finally, sometimes, when he's drunk, but only sometimes. Can you show us? Slowly, Theo pulled up his sleeve. Yellow-green bruises circled his bicep. Finger-shaped perfect impressions of an adult hand grabbing too hard. The social worker's expressions shifted. Theo, Mr. Okoye said carefully, we're going to need to document these, and we'll be speaking with your uncle. But for now, he glanced at his colleague, for now you're going to stay somewhere safe while we sort everything out. Can I stay with Donovan? No, honey, not yet, but we'll find you a good foster placement. Temporary, just until... No, panic flooded Theo's voice. No, please, I don't want to go somewhere else. I just want... He couldn't finish, couldn't articulate the desperate, howling need for the first stable thing he'd ever known. For the man Hazel had promised would save him. For family, the foster home was in Evanston, a tidy brick house run by Mrs. Delacroix, a woman with kind eyes and firm boundaries. Theo's room was clean, adequate, utterly impersonal. He sat on the bed, a real bed, not a mouldy mattress, and stared at the wall. Dinner's at 6, Mrs. Delacroix said gently. Bathrooms down the hall if you need anything. Just ask. After she left, Theo pulled out the photograph from his pocket, the one Hazel had given him, her handwriting on the back. His thumb traced the words until they blurred. Daddy, this is my brother. You promised, he whispered to the image. You promised we'd be family. But promises, Theo had learned, were just pretty lies adults told before they disappeared. Donovan stood outside the CPS office. Restraining order in hand, watching families come and go, his phone buzzed. Mitchell, got something? The Tribune reporter's source? Payment traced back to a shell company registered in the Caymans. Same company that paid Jack Morrison $500 3 days ago. Owner, buried under 6 layers of legal fiction. But I kept digging, found the formation documents, original incorporation papers from 2018. Listed owner, Mitchell paused for effect, Adrian Chen. Donovan's rage went cold and precise. Send me everything, every document, every transaction, every connection. What are you going to do? What I should have done 2 years ago. I'm going to destroy him. That night in his empty penthouse, Donovan pulled out Hazel's diary, read her entries about Theo, about her plan to make them family, about her certainty that Donovan would love Theo once he met him. Daddy's heart is so big, she'd written, he just forgot how to use it. But Theo will remind him, I know he will. Donovan closed the diary, pressed it to his chest. I remember, baby girl, he whispered to the darkness. I remember how to love, and I'm not letting anyone take him away. Outside, storm clouds gathered over Lake Michigan. Lightning forked across the sky. The war had begun. The rain hit Oak Hill Cemetery like judgment, turning pathways to mud and washing grave flowers into sodden piles. Theo ran through the downpour, chest heaving, shoes squelching, the foster home 3 miles behind him. Mrs. Delacroix would notice he was gone. She'd call the police. He didn't care. He collapsed at Hazel's grave, pressing his forehead against stone gone slick with rain. Why? The word tore from his throat. Why did you promise? Why did you make me believe? His fists pounded granite. Everyone leaves, everyone, even you, even him. The sky opened wider, soaking through his clothes. Theo's body shook. Cold, fever, grief, everything tangling into one overwhelming sensation. His vision blurred. The world tilted. I just wanted a family, he whispered. Was that too much? Was I asking too much? Hazel's name wavered before his eyes. The letters bled together. Darkness crept in from the edges. I'm sorry, he breathed. Sorry I wasn't good enough to save. His eyes closed, the rain fell harder. He didn't feel himself collapse. The cemetery groundskeeper found him at dawn, unconscious and burning with fever. The ambulance screamed through morning traffic, empties working frantically over a small body that barely registered on their equipment. 7-year-old male, severe hypothermia, possible pneumonia. The paramedic radioed ahead. Vitals unstable, ETA 3 minutes. At Northwestern Memorial, they rushed him into emergency, warmed his body slowly, pumped him full of antibiotics. A doctor with tired eyes checked his chart, noted the CPS flag on his file, made necessary calls. By afternoon, Theo lay in a pediatric wardroom, IV in his arm, oxygen tube beneath his nose, monitors beeping steady rhythms. His fever had broken, but he hadn't woken, just lay still, face turned toward the window, as if searching for someone who wasn't there. Mrs. Delacroix sat in the visitor's chair, wringing her hands. He was upset, she told the social worker. Wouldn't eat dinner. I heard him crying in his room, but thought he needed space. Then around midnight I checked and... Her voice broke. His window was open. He'd climbed down the trellis. In the storm. Mrs. Patterson made notes. Where was he found? Oak Hill Cemetery at a grave. The groundskeeper's report crinkled in her hands. Hazel Pierce, the girl who died 2 years ago. Pierce. Ms. Patterson's expression tightened. Has anyone contacted Donovan Pierce? No, the restraining order. Is keeping a child from the one person who might give him a reason to wake up. She closed her folder. Call him. Donovan was in a meeting when his phone buzzed. Elena's name flashed. He ignored it. It buzzed again and again. He stepped out of the conference room. This better be... Theo's in the hospital. Elena's voice cracked. Pneumonia. He ran away last night. They found him unconscious at Hazel's grave. The world stopped. Which hospital? Northwestern Memorial, pediatric ward. But Donovan, the restraining order, he was already moving. Leaving the meeting, the building, everything, his driver materialized and Donovan gave terse directions. They cut through traffic with the efficiency of urgency and money. At the hospital, Mrs. Patterson met him in the corridor. I shouldn't be allowing this, she said, but that child has been unresponsive for 6 hours. Won't speak, won't eat, barely acknowledges anyone. The doctors think he's given up. She studied Donovan's face. I've reviewed the investigation. The allegations against you don't hold water. The allegations against Jack Morrison, however, her jaw set. Sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes we believe the wrong people. I'm trying to fix that mistake. She pushed open the door to room 412. Theo lay in the narrow bed, IV bag dripping clear fluid into his arm, blankets pulled to his chin. His face was paper white, except for fever-flushed cheeks. His eyes were open but unseeing, fixed on nothing. Donovan's knees nearly buckled. Theo, he moved to the bedside, sat in the chair Mrs. Delacroix had vacated. Hey, buddy, it's me. No response. Not even a flicker. The doctors say you're going to be okay. You just need to rest, let the medicine work. Donovan's voice roughened. And I know you're scared. I know you think I abandoned you, but I didn't. I wouldn't. I was fighting for you. I'm still fighting. Theo's eyes remained distant. Donovan reached out slowly, took the boy's hand, so small, so fragile, barely any weight at all. Hazel wrote about you every day, he said quietly. Did I tell you that? Pages and pages about her brother Theo, about how brave you were, how you always shared even when you had nothing, how you made her laugh until her stomach hurt. His thumb traced circles on Theo's palm. She wrote that you had the biggest heart she'd ever seen, that you deserved every good thing in the world. A tear slipped down Theo's cheek. She was right, Donovan continued. You do deserve good things. You deserve a home and safety and people who love you. You deserve what she wanted to give you. He squeezed the small hand. What I want to give you, if you'll let me. Theo's fingers twitched. I'm not going anywhere, Donovan promised. Not again, not ever. You're stuck with me, kid, whether you like it or not. Theo's head turned slowly until his eyes found Donovan's face. You came, he whispered. Of course I came. I thought you didn't want me anymore. Never, Donovan's voice cracked. Not for 1 second. They wouldn't let me see you. I tried everything, Theo. I swear I tried. I ran. Tears streamed freely now. I ran to Hazel, wanted to stay with her, thought maybe I could. No. Donovan pulled the boy into his arms, careful of IVs and wires. You don't get to give up. Not now. Not when we're so close to being family for real. Theo clung to him, face buried in Donovan's shoulder, sobbing. Promise. Really promise. I promise. Mitchell appeared in the doorway, Elena beside him. His face showed the exhaustion of 72 hours without sleep, but his eyes blazed with triumph. We got him, he said simply. Donovan looked up. Explain. Every transaction, every payment, every email between Adrian and Ruth Morrison, every doctored accounting report, every offshore transfer. Mitchell dropped a thick folder on the bedside table. And I found the mechanic, the one who tampered with the car. Donovan's world narrowed to a pinpoint. What? Guy named Vincent Russo. Works freelance, very specialized skills. He was paid $50,000 in September 2023 to cause a brake failure that would look like equipment malfunction. Mitchell's voice went hard. Payment came from the same Cayman account that paid Jack Morrison, the same account that funded the smear campaign against you. Adrian killed them. The words felt unreal. Adrian killed Hazel. Ruth was the target. Hazel was... Mitchell couldn't say it. Collateral damage, Donovan finished, voice hollow. Elena stepped forward. I've contacted the FBI. They're ready to move, but they want your statement first. Everything you know. Everything you suspect with this evidence. She gestured to Mitchell's folder. We can bury him. Donovan looked at Theo, now sleeping peacefully for the first time in days. Hand still clutched in Donovan's. Then let's bury him. Adrian Chen stood in his office, watching the sun set over Chicago, when his door crashed open. FBI agents swarmed in, weapons drawn, shouting commands. Adrian Chen, you're under arrest for money laundering. Fraud, conspiracy to commit murder. The rest dissolved into white noise. Adrian saw his reflection in the window, not the powerful executive he pretended to be, but the desperate coward he'd always been. Ruth Morrison's face flickered in his memory, then Hazel's, two ghosts demanding payment. The handcuffs clicked shut. You have the right to remain silent, the agent began, but Adrian's silence had already cost too much. The news broke at 6. By 7, every major network carried it. By 8, Pierce Technologies' stock had plummeted. By 9, Donovan was giving a statement to a sea of cameras. 2 years ago, my daughter was murdered by a man I called partner and friend. A man who cared more about money than lives. Who saw a 5-year-old child as acceptable loss. Donovan's voice didn't waver. Today, that man faces justice. Today, the truth comes out, and today I'm announcing my intention to adopt Theodore Morrison, the boy my daughter loved as a brother. The boy she died trying to protect. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Donovan ignored them all, turned and walked back into the hospital, back to Theo, back to the family Hazel had chosen for them both. The forensic report landed on Donovan's desk at midnight. Mitchell had delivered it personally, his expression grave in the lamplight. Behind him, Chicago stretched in a carpet of lights, indifferent to the devastation contained in 47 pages of technical analysis. The brake line was severed with surgical precision, Mitchell said, pointing to a photograph showing the underbelly of the wrecked vehicle. Not enough to fail immediately, designed to corrode over 3 to 5 days. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. Donovan traced the diagram with his finger. The cut line, the hydraulic fluid leak pattern, the point of catastrophic failure. A busy intersection where Ruth Morrison had run a red light, not because she'd wanted to, but because she'd had no choice. Hazel was in the back seat, he said quietly. Vanessa was in Boston for a conference. Ruth had volunteered to pick her up from kindergarten. Hazel loved Ruth, called her Miss Ruthie, drew her pictures. Ruth knew about the brake tampering. That's what got her killed. Mitchell pulled up email records on his tablet. Look at this, sent to her personal account 3 days before the accident, from a burner email. But we traced the IP through 5 proxy servers back to Adrian's home network. Donovan read the message. You've become a liability. Accidents happen, choose wisely. His hands shook. He threatened her, then he killed her, and my daughter died because she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Not wrong place. Target expansion. Mitchell swiped to another document. I interviewed Ruth's old co-workers at Pierce Technologies. One of them, Sarah Chen, no relation to Adrian, said Ruth had been keeping a journal, documenting everything she saw. Dates, amounts, transaction codes. She was building a case. Where's the journal? Missing. Ruth's apartment was cleaned out the day after her death. Professional job. Jack Morrison claims he doesn't know anything about it, but Mitchell's expression hardened. I don't believe him. I think Adrian paid him to destroy evidence. Donovan stood abruptly, pacing to the window. His reflection stared back. Older than he'd been 2 years ago, harder but burning with purpose. Adrian's arraignment is tomorrow, he said. What are the chances he walks? With this evidence, 0. The prosecutors have him on money laundering, fraud, obstruction of justice, but murder. Mitchell hesitated. Vincent Russo, the mechanic, is refusing to testify. Claims attorney-client privilege. Which is bullshit, but his lawyer's good. Without Russo's testimony directly implicating Adrian, then we find another way. Donovan. No, he spun around. Adrian Chen murdered my daughter. Murdered a woman who trusted him. Nearly murdered Theo by putting him in that foster system nightmare. I'm not letting him hide behind expensive lawyers and legal technicalities. Mitchell studied him carefully. What are you thinking? I'm thinking Adrian's business partners might be interested to know how deep his fraud goes. I'm thinking the IRS would love these transaction records. I'm thinking the SEC might want to investigate Pierce Technologies' accounting practices for the last decade. Donovan's smile was cold. Adrian built his life on lies and theft. Let's see how well it stands once we pull out the foundation. That'll destroy the company. Then I'll rebuild it. Honestly this time. Donovan returned to his desk. Began forwarding files. Contact every regulatory agency, every news outlet, every investor. I want full transparency, complete audit, everything exposed. That's corporate suicide. That's justice. Mitchell nodded slowly. I'll make the calls. After he left, Donovan pulled out his phone, scrolled to Vanessa's number. His ex-wife had been radio silent since Adrian's arrest, hiding in her Boston brownstone. But she'd been there. She'd known Ruth, she'd hired her. She answered on the 4th ring. Donovan, I need to know what you knew. Silence then. I didn't know about the murder, I swear. But the money laundering... Her voice cracked. I suspected. Ruth tried to tell me. She came to my office 2 weeks before she died. Said Adrian was running transactions through fake vendors, inflating contract values, skimming the difference. She had proof. What did you do? I told her to keep quiet, to not make waves. Vanessa's sob carried through the speaker. I told her she was imagining things because I didn't want to deal with it. I was tired, Donovan. Tired of your company, our marriage, everything. So I looked the other way while a good woman tried to save us from ourselves. Donovan closed his eyes. Hazel died because you looked away. I know. God help me, I know. Will you testify? Tell prosecutors what Ruth told you. Yes, anything. I'll do anything to make this right. You can't make this right, but you can tell the truth. He hung up, sat in darkness, felt the weight of 2 years of grief finally transforming into something else. Not healing, not acceptance, but purpose. The jail visiting room smelled of industrial cleaner and despair. Donovan sat across from Adrian Chen, separated by reinforced glass, the man who'd stood beside him at board meetings, who'd toasted his success at company parties, who'd held Hazel at her christening, now wore an orange jumpsuit and defeat. You shouldn't be here, Adrian said. Agreed. I should be anywhere but here. But I needed to see your face when I tell you what happens next. Adrian's jaw tightened. If you're here for confession or apology, I'm here to watch you realize you've lost everything. Donovan leaned forward. Tomorrow, the SEC opens a full investigation into Pierce Technologies. The IRS will audit every transaction from the last decade. The FBI will present evidence of your fraud to a grand jury. And I will personally testify about how you murdered my daughter. I didn't. You ordered Vincent Russo to tamper with brake lines. You knew Ruth Morrison would be driving that car. You knew she picked Hazel up every Tuesday. Donovan's voice dropped to a whisper. You killed a 5-year-old child because she was inconvenient collateral damage. Because your money mattered more than her life. Adrian's face crumpled. It was never supposed to. I didn't want... Want doesn't matter. Intent doesn't matter. She's dead. Ruth's dead. And Theo... Donovan's hands clenched. Theo spent 2 years thinking he'd been abandoned by everyone who ever loved him because of you. Pierce, Don't try to explain or justify. Just understand this. I'm going to spend every resource I have ensuring you never see daylight again. Every connection, every lawyer, every investigator, you're going to die in prison, Adrian, old and forgotten. And when you do, I'll visit your grave exactly once. He stood. To spit on it. Donovan walked away, leaving Adrian's protests echoing behind reinforced glass. At Northwestern Memorial, Theo was sitting up in bed, color returning to his cheeks. Elena sat beside him, showing him cat videos on her phone. They looked up when Donovan entered. Hey, Theo's smile was tentative but real. The doctor says I can leave tomorrow. That's great, buddy. Donovan sat on the bed's edge. How you feeling? Better. Hungry Mrs. Delacroix brought pizza, but hospital pizza is terrible. He paused. Is it true about the bad man who hurt Hazel? Donovan glanced at Elena, who nodded slightly. It's true. The man who hurt her is in jail now. He's not going to hurt anyone ever again. Good. Theo's voice hardened with surprising fierceness. Hazel was good. She didn't deserve what happened. No, she didn't. Are you... Theo twisted the hospital blanket between his fingers. Are you still going to adopt me, even with everything that happened? Donovan took the small hands in his. Theo, nothing that happened changes what I promised. You're going to be my son. Legally. Officially, forever. Even though I'm broken, you're not broken, you're surviving. There's a difference, Donovan squeezed gently. And we'll survive together. Deal. Theo launched himself forward, wrapping thin arms around Donovan's neck. Deal. Over the boy's shoulder, Donovan met Elena's eyes. She nodded approval. The paperwork was ready. Capps had retracted their investigation. Jack Morrison had voluntarily surrendered his guardianship rights in exchange for a reduced sentence on his own charges. The path was clear. Hazel's wish was finally coming true. The federal courthouse steps were packed with reporters when Adrian Chen emerged in handcuffs. Camera flashes created a strobe effect as agents guided him toward the unmarked vehicle. Someone in the crowd shouted, "Murderer!" and the word rippled outward, a chorus of condemnation. Inside the courtroom, Donovan sat in the front row beside Eleanor. Theo was at home with a child psychologist. Beginning the long process of unpacking his trauma, Donovan had wanted to shield him from this, the spectacle, the hatred, the final reckoning, but he needed to witness it himself, needed to see justice served. Judge Marianne Hawthorne presided, a woman known for her sharp intelligence and zero tolerance for wealthy defendants who thought money bought immunity. She reviewed the charges with clinical precision. Mr. Chen, you stand accused of money laundering, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit murder, obstruction of justice, and accessory to manslaughter. How do you plead? Adrian's lawyer, a shark in a $3,000 suit, stood. Not guilty, Your Honor. My client maintains his innocence of all charges. The prosecution stood. Assistant U.S. Attorney James Walsh was a bulldog with a perfect conviction record and a personal hatred of white-collar crime. He'd volunteered for this case. Your Honor, the evidence against Mr. Chen is overwhelming. We have financial records showing $8 million in fraudulent transactions, email correspondence detailing his knowledge of illegal activities. Testimony from 12 witnesses placing him at the center of a vast money laundering scheme, and most damningly, Walsh paused for effect, We have Vincent Russo, the mechanic who tampered with the brake lines that killed Ruth Morrison and Hazel Pierce. Murmurs rippled through the gallery. Adrian's face went pale. Mr. Russo has agreed to testify in exchange for a reduced sentence, Walsh continued. He will detail exactly how Mr. Chen hired him, what he was paid, and what he was ordered to do. Adrian's lawyer shot to his feet. Objection. This is prejudicial. Overruled. Judge Hawthorne's expression was ice. Mr. Chen, given the severity of these charges and the prosecution's evidence, bail is denied. You will remain in federal custody until trial. Trial date is set for... She consulted her calendar. March 15th, 3 months from today. The gavel fell, Adrian was led away, and Donovan watched every step. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Donovan gave a brief statement, Elena beside him for support. Today, the justice system took the first step toward accountability, he said, voice steady. Adrian Chen stole from my company, endangered lives and murdered 2 innocent people. My daughter Hazel was 5 years old. Ruth Morrison was 28. They deserved futures. They deserved life. Adrian Chen took that from them for money. Mr. Pierce, what about Theodore Morrison? Are you still pursuing adoption? Absolutely, Theo is family. Hazel chose him as her brother, and I'm honoring her wish. Some critics say you're replacing your daughter. Some critics are idiots. Donovan's eyes flashed. Theo isn't a replacement. He's himself, a brave, brilliant kid who survived circumstances that would break most adults. He deserves a home. I'm giving him one. End of story. Elena guided him away before more questions could land. In the car, Donovan's composure cracked. His hands shook on his knees. Elena took one, squeezed. You did good, she said. It's not enough. He's still breathing, still existing, while Hazel... I know, but this is how it works. We follow the law, trust the system, let justice run its course. What if the system fails? It won't, not this time. Eleanor's confidence was absolute. Walsh has him dead to rights. The evidence is airtight. Adrian Chen is going to prison for the rest of his life. Donovan nodded, but the rage still simmered beneath his skin. That evening, at the penthouse, Theo explored his new room with wide eyes. Donovan had spent the week transforming the space. Bookshelves, a telescope by the window, posters of galaxies and astronauts, a bed large enough to get lost in, but the centerpiece was a massive photograph of Hazel and Theo at the park. Mounted on the wall above the bed, below it, a brass plaque read, Hazel Pierce. The sister who chose love. Theo stood before it, tracing his finger along Hazel's smile. Is it okay? Donovan asked from the doorway. It's perfect, Theo's voice caught. She looks so happy. She was, when she was with you. Donovan entered, sat on the edge of the bed. I thought, maybe every night before you sleep you could tell her about your day. Keep her updated, she'd like that. Yeah. Theo wiped his eyes. She would. They sat in comfortable silence, the city glittering beyond the windows. Finally, Theo spoke again. What happens now? Now we become a family. Official paperwork, court appearance, the whole thing. Elena says it'll take about 6 weeks for the adoption to finalize. And then you're Theo Pierce, my son. Forever. Theo climbed onto the bed, curled against Donovan's side. I'm scared. Of what? That I'll wake up and this'll be a dream, that I'll be back in that apartment with Uncle Jack, that you'll disappear like everyone else. Donovan wrapped an arm around the small shoulders. I'm not going anywhere. You're stuck with me, remember? Promise, I promise. The adoption hearing was scheduled for December 20th, 2 weeks before Christmas. Donovan spent those weeks learning how to be a father, helping with homework, making breakfast, reading bedtime stories, attending parent-teacher conferences at Lincoln Park Academy, where Theo was slowly catching up to his grade level. The boy thrived under stability. His nightmares decreased. His appetite improved. He laughed more, spoke more, trusted more, and Donovan remembered what it meant to live instead of merely surviving. On the morning of the hearing, they dressed in matching navy suits. Theo kept adjusting his tie, nervous energy making him fidget. What if the judge says no, he asked. She won't, but what if, then I'll appeal and appeal again and keep fighting until they have no choice but to say yes. Donovan crouched to eye level. Theo, you're not going anywhere, neither am I. This is just the paperwork catching up to reality. The courtroom was intimate, designed for family matters rather than criminal trials. Judge Patricia Reyes reviewed their file with warm eyes. Mr. Pierce, I've read your petition for adoption. I've reviewed the home study, the character references, the financial assessments. Everything appears to be in order. She looked at Theo. Theodore, do you understand what adoption means? Yes, ma'am. It means Donovan becomes my dad legally. And is that what you want? More than anything, Judge Reyes smiled. Well then, by the power vested in me by the state of Illinois, I grant this petition for adoption, Theodore Morrison. You are now legally and irrevocably Theodore Pierce, son of Donovan Pierce. Congratulations to you both. The gavel fell. Theo stared at Donovan, eyes wide with disbelief. It's done, he whispered. It's done. Theo launched himself into Donovan's arms, and for the first time in 2 years, Donovan felt complete. That night, they visited Oak Hill Cemetery. Snow had fallen, blanketing the graves in white. At Hazel's headstone, Donovan and Theo knelt side by side. Hey, Hazel, Theo said softly. Guess what? I'm officially your brother now, Theo Pierce. It's got a nice ring, don't you think? Donovan placed white daisies against the stone. You did this, baby girl. You brought us together. Thank you. The wind whispered through bare trees, and for just a moment, Donovan could swear he heard laughter. Bright, joyful, unmistakably Hazel. Theo heard it too. He looked at Donovan with wonder. She's happy, the boy said with absolute certainty. Yeah. Donovan ruffled his son's hair. She is. The Pierce Technologies boardroom felt different now. Lighter somehow, despite the heavy decisions being made. Donovan stood at the head of the table, 6 months post-adoption, addressing the restructured board of directors. Gone were the old guard who'd enabled Adrian's fraud. In their place sat Elena, Mitchell, and 4 carefully vetted executives committed to transparent operations. The SSE audit is complete, Donovan announced. Sliding folders across the table. We've settled all outstanding violations. Total fines came to $23 million. But our reputation is recovering. Stock price is up 18% from its nadir. What about criminal proceedings against former employees? Asked Sarah Chen, newly promoted CFO and the same woman who'd tried to warn Donovan about Adrian years ago. 12 indictments, 7 plea bargains. Adrian's trial is set for next month. Donovan's voice hardened. Vincent Russo is testifying. The prosecutors are confident. Elena leaned forward. And the civil suits from investors. Most settled. The holdouts will litigate, but our liability is limited. We've established a victim compensation fund, $30 million set aside for anyone damaged by Adrian's schemes. He paused. It's not enough. It'll never be enough. But it's a start, Mitchell spoke up. What about the company's direction? Are we still pursuing the neural interface project? With modifications, we're partnering with Northwestern University's medical school. All research will be open source. No more black box development. Donovan smiled slightly. Hazel wanted me to help people walk again. That hasn't changed. The meeting continued another hour. Budget reviews, strategic planning, personnel decisions. But Donovan kept checking his watch. At noon precisely, he stood. We're done for today, Sarah. Send me the Q2 projections by Friday, Elena. Meet me at the courthouse next Tuesday. The rest of you, good work. Keep it up. He left before anyone could object, taking the elevator to the parking garage where his driver waited, not heading home, but to Lincoln Park Academy for Theo's science fair presentation. The gymnasium was chaos. Parents milling between poster boards, kids explaining projects with varying degrees of enthusiasm, judges with clipboards evaluating displays. Donovan found Theo's station near the back. An elaborate model of the solar system with motorized orbits and LED stars. Theo stood beside it, wearing a lab coat 3 sizes too big, face serious as he explained planetary rotation to a judge. And Jupiter's gravity actually protects Earth from asteroids, Theo was saying. It acts like a cosmic vacuum cleaner, pulling debris away from the inner solar system. Without Jupiter, life on Earth might never have evolved. The judge made notes. Asked follow-up questions, Theo answered with confidence that would have been unimaginable 8 months ago. When the judge moved on, Theo spotted Donovan and grinned. "You came?" "Of course I came. I said I would." Donovan studied the display. "This is incredible, Theo. The orbits actually move. Yeah, I used motors from old toys and programmed them with Arduino code. Mr. Hassan helped with the electronics, but the design was all mine." Pride glowed in his voice. "Do you think I have a chance at winning?" "I think you've already won just by creating something this amazing." Donovan crouched to examine the wiring. "But between us, you're definitely taking first place." He was right. 2 hours later, Theo stood on the gymnasium stage, blue ribbon in hand, cheeks flushed with joy. He found Donovan in the crowd and waved frantically. Donovan waved back, throat tight. "This," he thought, "this is what Hazel wanted. This joy, this life." Therapy sessions happened every Tuesday afternoon. Donovan had started seeing Dr. Patricia Okonkwo 6 months ago, initially for Theo, but gradually for himself as well. They sat in her comfortable office, abstract art on the walls, soft lighting designed to ease difficult conversations. "Theo had a nightmare last night," Donovan said. "First one in 3 weeks. He woke up screaming for his mother." "How did you handle it?" "Held him. Let him cry, reminded him he was safe." Donovan's hands clasped between his knees. "But it breaks my heart. He's doing so well, and then—" "Trauma doesn't heal linearly," Dr. Okonkwo said gently. "Especially childhood trauma. Theo lived through years of neglect and abuse. He lost his mother, lost Hazel, nearly lost you. Those scars don't disappear just because his circumstances improved. I know. Intellectually, I know, but when he's sobbing at 3 a.m., asking why everyone leaves—" Donovan's voice cracked. "I don't know how to fix it." "You can't fix it. You can only be present through it." She leaned forward. "Donovan, you're doing everything right. Stable home, consistent routines, therapy, patience. But healing takes time, years. Sometimes you need to accept that. What if I'm not enough? You are. Trust me, you are." Dr. Okonkwo smiled. "That boy worships you. Do you know what he told me last session?" "What?" He said. "Donovan taught me that family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up." Those are his words. Donovan swallowed hard. "He said that." "He did. And he's right. You've shown up every single day through legal battles and media scrutiny and your own grief. You've shown up when it was hard, when it was easier to quit. When the whole world questioned your motives. That's what makes you his father." That evening, Donovan and Theo cooked dinner together. Pasta with marinara sauce, garlic bread, Caesar salad. The kitchen filled with warmth and laughter as flour dust coated the counter, and Theo dramatically narrated each cooking step like a TV chef. "And now," he announced, "we add the secret ingredient, Parmesan cheese." He dumped half a container into the sauce. "Theo, that's—" Donovan started, then laughed. "You know what? Sure, extra cheese." "Why not?" They ate at the dining table overlooking the city, talking about Theo's day, his science fair victory, his upcoming violin recital, normal conversation, family conversation. After dinner, they settled on the couch with a movie. Theo's choice, something animated involving talking cars. Halfway through, Theo's head drooped against Donovan's shoulder, eyes fluttering closed. Donovan let him sleep, wrapping an arm around small shoulders. Feeling the steady rise and fall of breathing, the city glittered beyond the windows. The movie played to its conclusion, and Donovan sat in the darkness, holding his son, thinking about the journey that had led them here, from a cemetery encounter to courtroom battles to this, quiet domestic peace. "Thank you, Hazel," he whispered to the shadows. "Thank you for seeing what I couldn't." Adrian Chen's trial began on a cold March morning. The courtroom was packed. Media, victims, corporate rivals all eager to watch the fallen titan answer for his crimes. Donovan sat with Theo, Elena and Mitchell in the front row. Vanessa sat across the aisle, visibly nervous. The prosecution laid out their case with brutal efficiency, financial records showing $8 million in fraud, emails detailing Adrian's knowledge of illegal activities, Vincent Russo's testimony about the brake tampering, delivered in monotone detachment that somehow made it more horrifying. "He paid me $50,000, Russo said from the witness stand, said the brakes needed to fail during normal driving, specific instructions, subtle damage, delayed reaction, professional job. Did Mr. Chen mention who would be driving the vehicle?" Walsh asked. "He said a woman, Ruth Morrison, said she was a problem that needed solving. Did he mention anyone else?" "No. He said if there were passengers..." Russo's face showed the first crack of emotion. He said collateral damage was acceptable. The courtroom exploded. Judge Hawthorne demanded order. Adrian's lawyer objected strenuously. But the damage was done. The trial lasted 3 weeks. 40 witnesses testified. Mountains of evidence were presented. The defense argued coercion, misunderstanding, lack of direct involvement. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they returned, the forewoman stood. "On the charge of money laundering, we find the defendant guilty. On the charge of wire fraud, guilty. On the charge of conspiracy to commit murder, guilty. On the charge of manslaughter in the deaths of Ruth Morrison and Hazel Pierce." Donovan held his breath. Donovan held his. "Guilty!" The gavel fell. Adrian Chen crumpled in his chair. His lawyer immediately filed notice of appeal, but everyone knew it was over. Judge Hawthorne scheduled sentencing for 2 weeks later. Sentencing day, Adrian was led into the courtroom in shackles. He'd aged 10 years in 3 weeks. Hollow-eyed, stooped, defeated, Judge Hawthorne reviewed the sentencing guidelines with grim satisfaction. "Mr. Chen, a jury of your peers has found you guilty of heinous crimes. You stole millions, you endangered lives, and you murdered 2 innocent people, including a child, to protect your fraudulent empire." She leaned forward. "Do you have anything to say before I pass sentence?" Adrian stood shakily. I never meant for anyone to die. Ruth was supposed to be alone. If I'd known..." "You knew enough," Hawthorne cut him off. "You knew tampering with brakes could kill. You knew Ruth Morrison picked up Hazel Pierce every Tuesday. You knew and you didn't care. That's not accident, that's murder." She consulted her notes. "On the charge of money laundering, 15 years. Wire fraud, 10 years. Conspiracy to commit murder, 25 years. Manslaughter, 2 counts, 20 years each. Sentences to run consecutively. Total sentence, 90 years in federal prison without possibility of parole." Adrian collapsed. His lawyer caught him, but the damage was absolute. Donovan closed his eyes, felt the weight of 2 years lifting. Not completely, but enough. Enough to breathe. Enough to believe justice existed. That night, they returned to Oak Hill Cemetery. Spring had arrived, turning the grounds lush with new growth. White daisies dotted the landscape. Theo knelt at Hazel's grave, placing fresh flowers against the stone. "We got him," he told her quietly. "The man who hurt you. He's going to prison forever. He'll never hurt anyone again." Donovan knelt beside his son. "You can rest now, baby girl. Your brother's safe." "I'm safe. We're going to be okay." They stayed until sunset painted the sky in shades of gold and rose. On the walk back to the car, Theo took Donovan's hand. "Dad," the word still came hesitantly, testing its weight. "Yeah, buddy. I love you." Donovan's heart cracked open. "I love you too, Theo, so much." Behind them, wind rustled through cemetery trees, and if it sounded like laughter, bright, joyful, unmistakably Hazel. Neither of them mentioned it. They just smiled and kept walking, father and son, toward whatever came next. Together, 2 years after Adrian Chen's sentencing, the Pierce penthouse had transformed from a monument to grief into a home humming with life. Theo's violin scales drifted from his bedroom each morning, sometimes on key, often not, but always earnest. School projects colonized the dining table. Sneakers appeared in random locations. The refrigerator was a collage of report cards, permission slips, and crayon drawings. Donovan loved every chaotic second. He found Theo in the study on a Saturday morning, hunched over a laptop, tongue between his teeth in concentration, now 9 years old. The boy had grown 3 inches, filled out with proper nutrition and radiated health. The hollow-eyed street kid was gone, replaced by a child who knew he was loved. "What you working on?" Donovan asked, settling into the chair beside him. "Science fair project. I'm studying how different materials affect radio wave transmission." Theo gestured to the screen showing complex graphs. "I built 3 different antenna designs and tested signal strength through various barriers. Mr. Hassan thinks it might win regional competition." Pride swelled in Donovan's chest. "It definitely will. This is college-level research, Theo." "Really?" The boy's face brightened. "You think? I know. In fact," Donovan pulled up his phone, "I forwarded your proposal to Dr. Kim at Northwestern. She's the head of their electrical engineering department. She wants to meet you." Theo's eyes went wide. "Seriously? Seriously? She's running a summer program for gifted students, if you're interested." Yes, I'm interested." Theo bounced in his chair, then paused. "But wait, what about violin camp?" "I already signed up for that." "You could do both. Violin camp is mornings, Doctor. Kim's program is afternoons." "Won't that be too much?" Donovan ruffled his hair. "Only if you think it is. What do you want to do?" Theo considered, biting his lip the way he always did when thinking hard. "Both. I want to do both. Is that okay?" "More than okay. It's perfect." That afternoon they visited the Hazel Pierce Foundation headquarters, a renovated warehouse in Pilsen that served as community center, tutoring hub, and adoption resource facility. Elena managed operations, having left private practice to focus on the foundation full-time. The lobby displayed a massive photo of Hazel, the same one that hung in Theo's bedroom, with her quote beneath, "Family isn't about blood, it's about love." "Donovan, Theo." Elena emerged from her office with Mitchell trailing behind. The investigator had become the Foundation's security consultant and Elena's husband, married in a small ceremony 6 months prior. "Perfect timing. We're doing final checks before the event tomorrow." The event was the Foundation's 2nd annual adoption celebration, a day where newly formed families came together, shared stories, received resources, and built community. Last year, they'd united 43 children with permanent homes. This year's number was 67 and climbing. "Is the keynote speaker confirmed?" Donovan asked. "Yes, Judge Reyes is coming. She's bringing 3 families she presided over this quarter." Elena checked her tablet. "We've also got media coverage. Tribune, Sun-Times, NPR wants to do a podcast segment. And, she smiled at Theo, "someone wants you to speak too." Theo paled. "Me, in front of everyone. Just for 5 minutes talking about your experience, what adoption meant to you. You don't have to if you're not comfortable." "I'll do it." Theo's voice steadied. "If it helps other kids, I'll do it." Donovan squeezed his shoulder. "That's my son." The Foundation tour took them through classrooms where volunteers tutored struggling students, a legal clinic where pro bono attorneys helped families navigate the adoption system, and a counseling center where therapists provided free services to children and parents alike. In the art therapy room, a girl around Theo's age was painting at an easel. She looked up when they entered, and Theo waved. "That's Maya," he explained quietly to Donovan. "She got adopted last year. Her mom brings her here for art classes." Maya's painting showed 2 figures holding hands beneath a rainbow. The smaller figure had a speech bubble. "I'm safe now." Donovan felt his throat tighten. "We're making a difference," Mitchell said, noticing Donovan's expression. "Real, measurable difference last year. Cook County had a 23% increase in adoption applications, the waiting period for foster placement dropped by 40%, and reunification rates are through the roof," Elena finished. "Because we're providing support systems, making sure families don't fail because of lack of resources." Theo tugged Donovan's sleeve. "Can I show you something?" He led them to a corridor lined with photographs. Every child the Foundation had helped. Standing with their new families, all smiling near the end, Theo pointed to a frame. It was the two of them on adoption day, Judge Reyes between them, all three grinning at the camera beneath the photo. A placard read, "Theodore Pierce and Donovan Pierce," where it all began. "I'm proud to be here," Theo said quietly. "Proud that Hazel's name is helping other kids get what I got. A family." Donovan crouched to eye level. "She'd be proud of you too, so proud." That evening, Donovan received an unexpected phone call. The number was unfamiliar, the area code from downstate Illinois. "Hello, Mr. Pierce, this is Tom Whitmore. I was Adrian Chen's attorney." Donovan's spine straightened. "What do you want?" "Adrian passed away this morning, heart attack. The prison medical staff tried to revive him, but—" Whitmore sighed. "He'd written a letter, asked me to deliver it to you if anything happened. I'm respecting that request, but understand you're under no obligation to read it." "Send it." The words came before Donovan could reconsider. "Are you certain?" "Send it." The letter arrived by courier an hour later. Donovan held the envelope for a long time before opening it. Theo already asleep upstairs, the penthouse quiet around him. Finally, he tore the seal. Adrian's handwriting was shaky, aged beyond its years. "Donovan, by the time you read this, I'll be dead. The doctors say my heart is failing. Poetic justice, perhaps, for a man who had none. I'm not asking forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I killed your daughter. I killed Ruth Morrison. I destroyed lives because I was a coward who valued money over humanity. No apology can undo that. But I want you to know, the last 2 years, I've had time to think, to understand what I took from you, from Theo, from the world. Hazel was 5 years old. She had her whole life ahead of her. Ruth Morrison was a good woman who died trying to do the right thing. And I murdered them for a fraud that enriched no one but myself. I see them sometimes in my cell, late at night. Hazel laughing, Ruth pleading. They haunt me. Good, they should. You became the father she wanted you to be. You saved Theo. You built something meaningful from tragedy. I envy that. I destroyed everything I touched while you created life from death. I'm sorry. I know it means nothing, but I'm sorry." Adrian Donovan read it twice, then walked to the fireplace, watched the letter curl and blacken in the flames, felt nothing but a distant, cold satisfaction. Adrian Chen had died alone in a prison cell, tormented by ghosts. Consumed by guilt, it was more mercy than he deserved. But it was justice nonetheless. The adoption celebration the next day drew over 300 people, families, volunteers, donors, media. The warehouse had been transformed with balloons, banners, and a stage where speakers shared their stories. Judge Reyes spoke about the importance of permanency. Elena discussed the Foundation's expanding programs. Mitchell outlined security measures protecting vulnerable children. Then it was Theo's turn. He stood at the podium, microphone adjusted to his height, looking out at the sea of faces. Donovan sat in the front row, heart in his throat. "Hi," Theo began, voice trembling slightly. "My name is Theo Pierce. 2 years ago, my name was Theo Morrison, and I lived with an uncle who hurt me. I didn't have enough food. I didn't go to school regularly. I didn't think anyone cared if I lived or died." Silence settled over the audience. "Then I met Hazel. She was 5 years old, and she decided I was her brother. Just decided. She didn't care that I was poor or dirty or scared. She just loved me, and when she died..." Theo's voice broke. "When she died, I thought that was it, that I'd never have a family." He looked at Donovan. "But Hazel had a plan. She left me a gift. Her dad. Donovan didn't have to adopt me. He could have given me money and walked away. But he didn't. He fought for me, taught me that family isn't about who you're born to. It's about who chooses you." Theo turned back to the audience. "If you're here today, if you're adopting or being adopted or helping families, you're changing the world. You're giving kids like me a chance, and that," he smiled through tears, "that's the most important thing anyone can do." Applause erupted. Donovan stood, tears streaming freely, as Theo left the stage and ran into his arms. "You did great," Donovan whispered. "So great." "Did I help?" Theo asked. Did it help other kids, more than you know? That night they made their regular visit to Oak Hill Cemetery, 3 years since the adoption. And they still came every Sunday without fail. White daisies in hand, father and son knelt at Hazel's grave. "Hey, sis," Theo said softly. "Big day today. Gave a speech about you, about how you changed my life. I think you would have liked it." Donovan added his own flowers. "We helped 67 kids find homes this year. 67 kids who have what you wanted Theo to have. We're going to keep going, baby girl. Keep spreading your love." They sat in comfortable silence as the sun set, painting the cemetery in shades of gold. Finally, Theo spoke. "Dad, do you think she knows? Really knows?" "Yeah." Donovan pulled his son close. "I think she knows. And I think she's happy." "Me too." They walked back to the car, hand in hand, leaving the flowers behind but taking Hazel's love with them, always, 5 years after the adoption. Theo stood at his bedroom window on a September morning, watching Chicago wake beneath autumn clouds, 12 years old now, tall enough that his pants always seemed too short, face showing the first hints of the man he'd become. A violin case leaned against his desk, beside 3 science fair trophies and a bookshelf crammed with physics texts far beyond his grade level. His phone buzzed. "Maya, ready for the thing today?" Theo smiled. Typing back, nervous but ready, the thing was the Hazel Pierce Foundation's 5th anniversary celebration, a massive event at Navy Pier with 2,000 attendees, keynote speakers, and a major announcement that Theo had helped plan for months. "Theo, breakfast?" Donovan's voice carried up the stairs. He found his father in the kitchen making pancakes, a ritual they'd maintained since the early days. Donovan wore jeans and a Pierce Technologies hoodie. The company had been rebuilt from the ground up, now valued at $3 billion, with a reputation for ethical practices and innovation in medical technology. "Big day," Donovan said, sliding a plate across the counter. "How are you feeling?" "Good." "Weird, excited." Theo drowned his pancakes in syrup. "Did Dr. Kim confirm?" "She'll be there along with her entire department." Donovan poured orange juice. "They're very interested in your proposal." The proposal was Theo's passion project, a scholarship program connecting disadvantaged youth with STEM opportunities. Funded by Pierce Technologies and administered through the foundation, he'd spent 8 months developing the curriculum, recruiting mentors, and securing partnerships with universities across the Midwest. At 12, "What if nobody cares?" Theo asked suddenly. "What if we announce it and people think it's just, I don't know, some rich kid's vanity project?" Donovan sat beside him. "First, you're not just some rich kid. You're a kid who survived poverty and neglect, who understands exactly what these students face. Second, you've put in the work. Real work. This isn't vanity, it's vision." "But, Theo," Donovan waited until the boy met his eyes. "You've got this. I believe in you. Elena believes in you. Hazel believed in you first. Trust that." Theo nodded slowly. "Okay, yeah, okay." Navy Pier was chaos. Volunteers directing parking, caterers setting up stations, audio-visual techs testing equipment. The main pavilion had been transformed into an elegant event space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan. Banners displayed the Foundation's mission statement and photographs of the 437 children who'd found permanent homes through their programs. Elena found them near the stage, tablet in hand, orchestrating with military precision. "Timeline's tight," she said. "Doors open at 10. Judge Reyes speaks at 11. Mitchell handles the impact report at 11:30. Then you two at noon for the announcement." "Press confirmed?" Donovan asked. "Every major outlet plus live stream for families who couldn't attend. Estimated virtual audience of 50,000. Elena smiled. "This is happening, you two. This is real." Theo felt his stomach flip. 50,000 people, Mitchell appeared. Now the Foundation's coup, looking sharp in a tailored suit that couldn't quite hide his cop's bearing. "Security sweep complete. Mayor's office sent confirmation she's coming. Oh, and..." He grinned at Theo. "Someone special arrived early to see you." Around the corner came Vanessa Chen, Donovan's ex-wife. She'd spent the last 5 years in therapy, making amends and volunteering with the Foundation's legal clinic. She'd never be close with Donovan, too much history, but she'd formed a tentative bond with Theo. "Hey, kiddo," she held out a small box. "Got you something for luck." Inside was a compass, brass and beautiful. The inscription read, "Find your way, Vanessa. For when you're navigating big decisions," she said. "You've got a good moral compass already, but maybe this'll help." Theo hugged her impulsively. "Thank you." After she left, Donovan examined the compass. That was thoughtful. "She's trying." Theo pocketed it carefully. "That's what you always say, right? Trying counts." It does. The event opened to a packed house. Families filled rows of seating. Children running between aisles. Everyone buzzing with anticipation. Judge Reyes gave a moving speech about the transformation of Chicago's adoption system. Mitchell presented data showing measurably improved outcomes for children in stable homes. Then Elena introduced Donovan and Theo. They took the stage together, father and son, and the audience erupted in applause. Donovan spoke first. "5 years ago, I was a broken man standing in a cemetery talking to a ghost. I'd lost everything that mattered. My daughter, my purpose, my ability to feel anything but grief." He paused, composing himself. "Then a 7-year-old boy showed me a photograph and changed my life." He gestured to Theo. "This is my son, legally. Officially, permanently, but more than that. He's my second chance, the gift Hazel left me, and together we've built something she'd be proud of." Theo stepped to the microphone, hands shaking slightly. "When I was little, I thought family was something other people had, something I'd never get. Then Hazel decided I was her brother. She saw me, really saw me, when everyone else looked away." His voice steadied. "This foundation exists because Hazel saw people. She saw me. She saw the invisible and made them matter." He pulled note cards from his pocket. "Today, we're announcing the Hazel Pierce Scholars Program. It'll provide full STEM scholarships to 50 students per year. Kids from foster care, kids experiencing homelessness, kids who've been told they don't belong in science and math. We'll give them mentorship, resources, and most importantly, belief that they can succeed." The audience was silent, hanging on every word. "I know what it's like to be told you're not good enough," Theo continued, "that you're too poor, too broken, too far behind. But Hazel taught me something. Being broken just means you understand how to rebuild, and these scholars, they're going to rebuild the world." Applause thundered through the pavilion. Donovan put his hand on Theo's shoulder, pride radiating from every pore. After the speeches, they mingled with attendees. Adoptive parents shared their stories. Foster children asked questions. Donors pledged additional support. Dr. Kim pulled Theo aside. "That was extraordinary," she said, "and I want to make you an offer. Full scholarship to Northwestern summer research program starting next year. Lasting through high school, you'd work directly with my team on neural interface technology." Theo's eyes went wide. "Really? Really, you have a brilliant mind, Theodore. We want to nurture it." Thank you. I'd love to." As the crowd thinned, Donovan found Theo standing at the pavilion windows, staring out at Lake Michigan. He joined him in silence. "You did good today," Donovan said finally. "We did good," Theo corrected. "Together." "Yeah, together." They stood side by side, watching sailboats cross the water. After a while, Theo spoke again. "Dad, do you think she's proud, Hazel?" Donovan considered the question seriously. "I think she's beyond proud. I think she's celebrating wherever she is. Heaven, the universe, some dimension we can't understand. She's celebrating the family she built, the love she planted. I miss her." The admission came quietly. "I know I never really knew her as a sister. I was just a kid she played with at a park, but I miss her anyway." "I miss her too, every day." Donovan wrapped an arm around Theo's shoulders. "But you know what? I'm grateful for the time we had, for what she left behind, for you." Theo leaned into the embrace. "Love you, Dad. Love you too, son." That evening, they made their final visit to Oak Hill Cemetery. The sun hung low. painting everything gold and rose. They'd been coming here for 5 years, through adoption proceedings and foundation launches, through therapy sessions and science fairs, through ordinary days and extraordinary ones. Always together, always remembering. At Hazel's grave, they knelt side by side. The photograph Theo had carried for years was now in a frame at home, but he still brought drawings, this time a sketch of the Scholars Program logo he'd designed. "Look what we built," he told her. "Your name is going to help so many kids like me who thought they were invisible. You're making us visible, Hazel, even now." Donovan placed white daisies against the stone, his fingers tracing her name. "Thank you, baby girl, for seeing what I couldn't, for loving when I'd forgotten how, for giving me a son and a purpose and a reason to believe in tomorrow." They sat in the grass as the sun set. Comfortable in the silence, finally, Theo spoke. "Dad, can I tell you something without you freaking out?" "I'll try. Sometimes I see her, Hazel, just for a second in reflections or shadows or, I don't know. Like she's still here, watching, making sure we're okay." He looked at Donovan anxiously. "That sounds crazy, right?" Donovan smiled. "No, it sounds like love. Love doesn't end just because someone dies. It changes form, becomes memory, becomes legacy, becomes..." He gestured to the foundation logo on Theo's drawing. "Becomes 437 children with families, 50 scholars getting chances they wouldn't have otherwise, a father and son who found each other against impossible odds. So you think she's still here? I think she never left." As if in answer, wind whispered through the cemetery trees. Leaves danced in spirals. And for just a moment, brief as a heartbeat, real as the ground beneath them, Donovan heard laughter, bright, joyful, unmistakably Hazel. Theo heard it too, his face lit with wonder. "She's happy," the boy said with absolute certainty. "Yeah." Donovan pulled his son close, both of them smiling through tears. "She is." They stayed until darkness fell, then walked to the car hand in hand. Behind them, white daisies glowed in the twilight. Ahead, the city sparkled with a million lights, and somewhere between, in that space where grief transforms into grace, where love transcends death, where a 5-year-old's promise reshapes 2 broken lives, Hazel Pierce smiled. Her work was done. Her family was whole. Her love lived on forever. Want to see more stories about the power of family and second chances? Follow for more heartwarming journeys. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to remember that love never truly ends. It just finds new ways to shine. When a child loves without limits, they don't just change one life. They transform the entire world around them, proving that the purest hearts see what others miss and love what others overlook.